However, an actually interesting one here, can a model shoot with flesh hooks in a battle round in which it was charged? Yes. Now, the reason for that, in case anybody's wondering, is a subtle little nuance. So, if you charge, you're not allowed to shoot, which is why you can't shoot flesh hooks if you charge. However, when you get charged, I believe again, doing this from memory, guys, I don't have the rulebook in front of me. The reason you are not allowed to shoot is because it clearly states in the pistol rules that you cannot shoot if you are charged. However, flesh hooks are an assault weapon that have a specific rule that allows them to shoot like a pistol does into combat and when you are within 1 inch, but they are not themselves a pistol, and therefore they do not suffer the same negative results, the same negative effects as a pistol. Hence, this ruling makes perfect sense for rules as written. Awesome. Hello everybody, welcome to Glass Half Dead. Today, the Kill Team FAQ has been released. Whoa, it's exciting days. This is going to be a really quick one, just to go over it. I haven't really had time to digest it. I'm just going to hit some highlights and then we move on. So, firstly, there are two parts to this. First is the errata for the Kill Team rulebook, which I have up on the screen here. I will put the links for both the errata and the designer's commentary into my description. That's the word, and feel free to peruse at your own leisure. However, the errata is, they've just made a few changes. For example, tactical marines can now be medics. That kind of thing. They've used this as a little bit of a place to do very subtle nerfs and buffs. For example, exactly that. Tactical marines can now be a medic. That is inherently a buff. I'm not saying it's a great one, but it's a thing. They finally clarify how a flip belt works. To be honest, a flip belt works exactly as it should have worked. We all knew what they meant. However, this clarifies it. Terrain still exists. You don't just ignore all terrain. It doesn't not exist for you, but you could just move as if it was not there. Read it. No, you know what? This is a video. I meant to read it for you, aren't I? This model can move across other models as if they were not there, and it can climb any distance vertically, up or down, when it moves. Do not measure the distance moved in this way. In addition, it never suffers falling damage and never falls on another model. If it would, instead place this model as close as possible to the point where it would have landed. This can bring it within 1 inch of an enemy model. It also notes somewhere else here, in the designer's commentary, not in the errata, um, that you cannot just fall onto a model and then be in combat with them. You still have to charge them, which is interesting. They've done a little bit of a change here. Tesla carbine. They've changed that to an unmodified hit roll of a 6. So that is notably different. I'd argue that is a buff to Tesla. However, yeah, it's a change. Saying whether it's a buff or a nerf is a bit challenging. But if you consider that you'd always have to be within 12 inches and the target would have to be not obscured to be able to get a 6 without using any tactics, etc., I say it's a buff. Flail of Corruption for the Death Guard. Damage characteristic changes to 1. I believe it was D3 before. So I think that's really useful actually, because whenever I heard Death Guard being talked about, you had to have a Flail of Corruption. Had to be in there. It was a must-take weapon. And ideally, in a rules system, there shouldn't be a must-take. Right? I mean, that's bad game design. If you could point to any kill team and say, oh, you've got to have that. That's bad. That is inherently a bad thing. It should always be, oh, I don't know if I want this or if I want that. You know? Oh, yeah, obviously, Harlequin Fusion Pistol. They've just removed its melter ability completely. I don't play Harlequins. I don't know if that's a huge issue or not. But yeah, and I've never played against them either. Where is it? Have I skipped past it? Oh, here we go. Sorry. So if you take an Auspex grenade launcher with your intercessors now, the model's grenade weapons are affected by the long range rule. So that's a nerf to the auxiliary grenade launcher, which actually is totally fine because it costs 0 points, so it's still a free upgrade. Here, all of there's a whole load of these entries for Tau, but it's making the same change for all of them. It's changing the Fire Warrior bond or the bonding knife ritual. You can subtract one from nerve tests for Shaslas and Shaswees from your kill team within 3 inches of any other friendly models with this ability that are not shaken. Unfortunately, I'm doing a terrible job for you, my beautiful viewers, and I don't have my original rulebook, so I can't remember what that used to be. I think before it might have just been that. So currently, as is, if any model was next to any other model, it was fine. Now, a Fire Warrior has to be next to a Fire Warrior, a Pathfinder has to be next to a Pathfinder, a Breacher has to be next to a Breacher, etc. Can't confirm that because I'm a bad host. There you go. Anything else? Oh, drones. Yep, drones are all now a save of a 4 up, which is brilliant because they were 5 up. In addition, each time, so this is the shield generator now. In addition, each time a model with a shield generator loses a wound, roll a d6 on a 5 up, the model does not lose that wound. That's pretty useful. I don't know what it was before. Okay, that is, oh, they clarified the heavy rock drill, I believe, as well. Again, I didn't know what the issue was here, but let's see if this changes it. Change the last sentence to keep rolling a d6, increasing the score required to cause a mortal wound by 1 each time until the model's wounds are reduced to 0 or the roll has failed. I believe that does clarify how the misread with the rock drill works. And then we get designer's commentary. Now, I think this is actually much more interesting than the errata. I think this is a must read for anybody. So once you've read your rulebook, then you read this. Any questions? I mean, this answers a lot of questions. So yeah, I think they've done a really good job. They haven't answered every single tiny niggling little question. There are one or two more that I personally have, but this really does a very good job of answering most of them. Again, please go and read this yourself because actually there's a lot of answers here. So I'm not going to go through all of them, at least not now. It clears up a lot of issues we've had. It's a good read. Oh, one of the other things that's been changed is Death Watch. So I know that a lot of people play Death Watch. They're a really cool looking team. A lot of people play them. So for example, under the Death Watch, you cannot have both a frag cannon and a power sword. I don't know who was running that, but I mean, good for you guys. If you want to waste all your points on a single model, awesome. I think one of the big ones that we'll actually go over this one, is Mortal Wounds. Where is it? Okay, so this one here is a good one to accept that this is how Mortal Wounds work. So when my model shoots a weapon that deals a mortal wound on a wound roll of a 6+, for example, the sniper rifle, and I roll a 6+, when is the mortal wound allocated? Now this is exactly what I'd said in my previous video. So if you've already watched that, this is the same answer. But it is allocated immediately after the wound roll. If the target only has 1 wound remaining, you will take an injury roll for the target, then and there, and then the attack ends at that point. If the target has more than 1 wound remaining, you lose the wound for the mortal wound, and then you continue to resolve the attack. Again, the reason this is in the designer's commentary is because that if you just read the rulebook, that is how it is stated. But a lot of people had issues with that. So there's also this one here, okay? If I have allocated multiple attacks with a random damage characteristic, e.g. D3, to a single model, and 2 or more of those attacks wound the target, and the saving rolls are failed, how is damage resolved? Okay. You need to determine the damage for those attacks one at a time. Determine one of those attacks' damage characteristics and resolve the inflict damage step. If no injury roll is made as a result, e.g. if the attack reduces the model's wounds but not to zero, determine the next attack's damage characteristic, and so on until all the attacks are resolved or an injury roll is made. When an injury roll is made, no more of the attacks are resolved. The number of dice rolled for the injury roll is equal to the randomly determined damage characteristic of the attack that reduces the target to 0 wounds. Again, it's just clearing up phrasing, making sure that everybody knows exactly what's up. And because I had this from one of my viewers, hold on, I'm going to say his name. I'm going to say his name. Wait, it's Christoph something. I'm going to say it. Shit.
You have to say it. Krzysztof Drzewiecki.
And because I have one of my viewers with a Polish name that I'm now going to attempt to pronounce by the name of Krzysztof Drzewiecki. I said that wrong, but I tried, and I am very trying, so there we go. He had asked about the drone savior protocols. It's cleared up for us here. I highly recommend that everybody goes and reads all of these. I will say, as somebody that has suddenly decided to go and start playing orcs again, I'm a little bit perturbed by their complete lack of inclusion. I mean, that one rule, which is a good rule to state, but yeah, okay, fine, whatever. And then a whole load of stuff for Tyranids, and then a whole bunch of stuff about how to properly do the campaigns. And again, if you want to run a campaign, go and read this, guys. This actually has a lot of good information. Oh, okay. So you know what? Let's read out the metabolic overdrive tactic, shall we? Because there's been a bit of back and forth. Do we use the rulebook? Do we use the tactic? What's happening? And when I'd asked it last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, about they said it's in the FAQ. Let's see what the FAQ says. My guess before I've read it is that it allows you to make 2 normal moves. Let's find out. How do I use the metabolic overdrive tactic to move a model from my kill team? In most cases, you will use metabolic overdrive to make a charge attempt after a normal move. Okay, well I fucked up. That's my bad. That's my bad. Anyway, or to advance after advancing. Note that if a model advances twice in the same movement phase using this tactic or another rule like it, make an advance roll each time it advances and add each result to that model's move characteristic for that phase. Or to make a move after a failed charge. However, the following describes in full how you can use Metabolic Overdrive. After a model from your kill team has made a normal move, fallen back, advanced, retreated, or moved as part of a failed charge, you can use the Metabolic Overdrive tactic. That model can then make another move. If the model began the movement phase within 1 inch of an enemy model, this can only be to fall back. If the model has made a normal move or retreated, this can be to make a normal move, advance, or make a charge attempt. If the model has advanced or moved as part of a failed charge, this can be to make a normal move or advance. Whichever you choose, the model cannot shoot for the rest of the battle round. Cool. So that makes sense. That seems more in line with how it was written in the core rulebook than how it was written in the tactics card. So that's quite interesting. Certainly for 2 command points, you should be able to charge. Otherwise, I mean, okay, it's a big move, but 2 command points, So, yeah, cool. That makes sense. Also, interesting. Down here we have how many gene stealers in my kill team can have flesh hooks? Well, I don't know why that was a question. There was never any. However, an actually interesting one here. Can a model shoot with flesh hooks in a battle round in which it was charged? Yes. Now, the reason for that, in case anybody's wondering, is a subtle little nuance. So, if you charge, you're not allowed to shoot, which is why you can't shoot flesh hooks if you charge. However, when you get charged, I believe I again doing this from memory, guys. I don't have the rulebook in front of me. The reason you are not allowed to shoot is because it clearly states in the pistol rules that you cannot shoot if you are charged. However, flesh hooks are an assault weapon that have a specific rule that allows them to shoot like a pistol does into combat and when you are within 1 inch, but they are not themselves a pistol, and therefore they do not suffer the same negative results, the same negative effects as a pistol. Hence, this ruling makes perfect sense for rules as written. Awesome. Okay, guys, that's all I've really come up with for my first read through. Hope this has been interesting. Please go and read it yourselves. I'm going to get this out to you as quickly as I can. I'm not going to edit it much. Why am I still talking? Anyway, guys, this has been Glass Half Dead. What do you think? Have there been any rules changes there that surprised you, or what's up? Is this changing how you're going to run your kill team? Are you throwing away your frag cannon Deathwatch guy with power sword now? Let me know. Anyway, hope you all have a great day. Glass Half Dead, signing out.